In 1959, a young Kenyan had a dream of helping dispossessed and orphaned boys. What he started in 2 tiny rondavels has grown to become one of Africa's most compelling endeavors, the Starehe Boys Center. This is the story of the fulfillment of a vision and the legendary compassion of a man who crusaded against almost insurmountable odds to provide care and opportunity to poor children. After more than 3 decades as founding director of Starehe, Geoffrey Griffin is still driven by immense compassion, discipline and commitment to his cause. When the strains of a boy bugler were first heard across the closely packed slums which surround Starehe, the centre's population consisted of only 17 waifs brought in from the streets. Today, 1,200 boys stand to attention round the green turf as their flag is lowered to the sound of the sunset. Few scars remain from the endless problems, mistrust and suspicions which characterized those first days when their predecessors took their first cautious steps out of hunger and cruelty and into a new life within a project destined to win national fame. A typical Starehe boy comes from a home in which the parents, often only a mother, and the children live on the edge of survival. In rural areas, they grow subsistence crops amid grinding poverty. Anthony Mutunga's family, for example, has squatted on the patch of rock owned by the grandfather since 1973. The mother, single parent Dorothy Nziza, ekes out a living weaving sisal baskets. But this is barely enough to keep the children from starving. The family of 8 share a 12 by 10 foot hovel that they call a home. Severe food shortages are not new here, and life for the children is one of unremitting, hurting poverty. Young Mutunga is the only chance this family will ever have to rise out of its wretched circumstances, thanks to Starehe and to all those sponsors who give something of themselves towards making such dreams come true. While the majority of Starehe boys come from rural areas, including the deserts of the remote north, some are lifted from urban slums, giving them a way of escape from the dangers of drugs, opening better prospects for them than a lifetime of casual labor or street hawking.
The attainment of perfection is never easy or simple.
These faces represent Kenya's multiracial society. For today's boys come to Starehe from every part of the country, irrespective of race, tribe or religion.
All athletes, you're asked to meet...
The principal criterion is need. 3/4 of these children are orphaned or come from broken or poverty-stricken homes. Because Starehe believes that they should not be raised in isolation from the rest of society, the other quarter of the boys is drawn from normal homes, paying fees according to the means of their families.
Mr. Gashui would like to meet the following tomorrow after parade. Boys meet at the music center at 2:10 p.m. in red and blue.
Life at Starehe is not merely a change, it is a total transformation, exemplified in these old boys revisiting the centre. Now successful professionals, they recall their past and what Starehe did for them.
I cannot forget my first day at Starehe. As I was going through the gate, I was terrified, not really knowing what to expect. But with time, I realized and I appreciated the brotherhood and the warmth that exists within Starehe.
I enjoyed the system of weekly barazas. It's a pity that all schools don't have them. These barazas give boys a voice in running their lives and a forum for bringing out their worries and complaints. Real democracy. And it certainly taught me not to be afraid of speaking in front of an audience.
Work. They really made us work. But there was a lot of encouragement. Every one of us was made to feel we could achieve any height if we attended to our teachers and aimed high.
I remember that all of us used to be proud of the chance to be givers rather than takers. In my own case, my experiences among the sick led me in the end to take medicine as my career.
Looking back, I think one of the most important things is as we grew older, we were entrusted with responsibilities, real responsibilities in helping to run the center. We took this seriously, and this proved to be a foundation which helped me later in my business life.
Although Starehe relies heavily on overseas aid, Kenyans too continue to play their part. The Kenya Shell and BP companies have given annual grants to the centre throughout its entire existence. Donations and sponsorships provide the recurrent funding that keeps Starehe's places free to destitute boys. The Save the Children Fund of the United Kingdom has been the centre's most generous supporter for over 30 years. Later, the Save the Children funds of Denmark, Sweden, Austria, British Columbia, New Zealand and Australia joined in. Other donors arrange for their help directly with the centre. Most of them are not wealthy people, but they think of their own children, they think of God, and they make a sacrifice to help one suffering child along life's difficult way. For after all, that is the gift that heals. Such dedicated support is interposed by discouraging moments. At Starehe's beginning, a high-ranking education official opposed it, saying that it was a waste of time to try to educate poor boys. He could not have been more wrong. The centre's academic success has been spectacular. Its boys achieve the highest examination honours in all Kenya. Each year, around 90% of them win university places. Even those who do not go to university are eagerly sought after by employers, who have come to value the character training that the centre bestows on its sons. Any of these spirited children might have been a loafer, vagrant or street urchin had it not been for Starehe. The centre's special programs imbue them with a sense of duty towards one another and their community, and more than that, with ideals of service to society at large. For the last 25 years, more than 500 boys have volunteered each year to spend their holidays in social service to the community.
Can you have a swab? Thank you. It's coming very well.
The spirit of commitment is exemplified by one of Starehe's own old boys, the 800-metre gold medal winner Paul Ereng, who, when money was pressed upon him by exulting fellow Kenyans following his victory, brought it to Geoffrey Griffin with the request that it should be used to aid another boy in the way he himself had once been helped.
Good evening, my sons. Please sit down.
Starehe is run like a huge family. Boys enjoy much personal freedom, being able to wear clothing of their own choice after school hours and go out of the school grounds. There are weekly gatherings where boys raise any problems that bother them or make their own suggestions for the improvement of the centre.
Suggestions that you people want to make. Who would like to start? Gerald de Gesser.
We understand that, sir, that you give us the 80-page exercise books, that's the fourth formers, because you feel it is the most convenient and economical. But I want to suggest, sir, that we have subjects like geography and biology, which have lots of notes in them, and therefore end up by filling up many exercise books. I would like to suggest that it would be a good idea, which would be economical and also most convenient for us fourth formers, if you gave us the 200-page exercise books for such subjects. What do you think, sir?
At last year's prices, the 200-page books cost 10 shillings each, and the 80-page books cost 4 shillings each. And if you fourth formers, who've only got about 4 months left of your course, were to be given 200-page books now, it is likely that much of those books would remain unused and would therefore be wasted.
Alexander.
Thank you, sir. Mine goes to Mr. O'Connor. Starehe gives us good facilities for doing well in examinations. Good teachers and good books are examples. But I think that time factor is neglected. So I think that if bedtime rules could be relaxed, we would have enough time for private study.
Well, I'd agree with Alexander that you've got good teachers, good books and other facilities which are quite good. But probably the main asset we have for good performance in the exams is your own willingness and enthusiasm for learning. Lack of sleep, it's been proven, increases your susceptibility to anxiety, stress, depression, all of which, of course, would undermine your ability to perform well in the exams. So we do not think there's any benefit in relaxing bedtime hours, and we believe that if you utilize the time available adequately, you'll certainly perform well.
And so it is. Those that have left carry with them a deep sense of indebtedness to the generosity of the world.
When I became settled in the world, I wanted to give another boy the same chance that I enjoyed. And I thought to myself, there could be no better way than to contribute towards the costs of a boy just joining Starehe and enjoy following his progress as he grows up. So, that's what I did.
Creating Starehe has been a joyous adventure. I would not have wished to spend my life in any other way. The Almighty has blessed me greatly through the host of donors and supporters who have come to my aid across the years. I thank them with all my heart on behalf of the thousands of youngsters we have been able to save through their generosity. But what of the future? For many years to come, there will be countless boys who are trapped in poverty, unable to escape from hunger and want, unable to afford education. Starehe has every facility to alleviate their suffering, to foster their talents, to enable them to become self-supporting, aid their families, and contribute to the development of their country. One thing alone is lacking: the continuous recurrent funding that will keep the centre's places free to those who cannot pay. Please help me to endow Starehe's places. so that they may remain available for all time to the orphans, the waifs, the disadvantaged boys, whose need of those places is so very great.